Turning gears, turning to Washington and fallout from the State of the Union address this week. The president made a push for income equality by raising taxes for America's rich and redistributing to the middle class in the form of tax credits. His agenda and that of the Republican Congress are not the same, and it leaves Americans to wonder what truly will get accomplished. And so we've had a couple of days to digest everything. So I'm going to start with you, Stephen. Is there any kind of program or idea that there is agreement between this Congress and the president?
I'm not sure if there's agreement, but there's certainly some common space they can all occupy. You talk about expanding family leave, which was one of the president's ideas. That's worked in some states already. It certainly works in every other industrialized country on the planet that does it. That's a place that Republicans should be supporting the president. You know, immigration is a place where I think they can come together. We're not that far apart substantively. It's a political problem because the House for 2 years said they wouldn't even take up the bill that the Senate had passed that had all the things in it that Republicans say they want. You know, everyone's going to focus on the tax issue and try to make it about this sort of class warfare issue about, you know, should the rich subsidize the poor or the middle class? And I think that's an argument we have to have. I think, you know, there's absolutely time to revisit how we do that in this country. But I think you don't have to have that fight and let it distract from all these other things that are possible.
Do you agree that there are some common ground there, Nolan?
I didn't see it in this speech, and I think it's time we stop talking about what they do in the rest of the industrialized world. Europe's collapsing under the weight of state.
It's not under family leave.
It's all of this combined, all of this social welfare state that is collapsing the European economy. And what we saw in the president's speech the other night was much more of it. More expansion of government, more giveaways, more entitlements, increasing the number of people who are dependent on government even further. We've had 6 years now, 20 new tax hikes on the wealthy, and yet he's still out there saying soak the rich. What's happened during all those wealth transfer schemes? The poor and the middle class are poor, and the rich are wealthier because government
suggests
policies,
that maybe taxes aren't the issue.
What it suggests is that the government is getting in the way of the progress of the middle class and the poor through taxes and regulations that keep down employment. We've had slow employment growth. That's what's leading to stagnant wages.
We actually haven't. It's not the problem we have is actually more related to incomes than it is to employment.
And incomes go up when there's a demand for workers.
When there's demand and when there's growth. I mean, there's no question that this idea that that accelerated wealth of the kind that we have is just okay has got to be revisited. The wealth gap at this point is greater than it has been at any time since right before the crash in 1929. That has to do somewhat with tax policy. It
has to do mostly with monetary policy.
Some of it too.
That is propping up the stock market. The real estate boom recovery has particularly helped the wealthy. But you have, I mean, everybody said you raise the minimum wage, you're going to have fewer low-income people working, fewer entry-level jobs. We have that today, and everybody can't make the connection between policy and slow job growth.
All right, let's talk a little bit about, because people hear this and at odds on either side of the aisle here, and they think, gosh, we're going to have gridlock now for the next 2 years.
That's what this speech was designed to create.
Actually, you say, of course we will, but I mean, people are fed up with it.
Well, he could have found 4 or 5 things to put on the table and say, we can work together on this. Instead, he put 4 or 5 things on there designed to maneuver Republicans into a difficult position going into the next election.
Okay, but
is that politics?
Okay, but we're in year 7 of this presidency, right?
Campaign.
And we were in year 7 of this presidency. He waited for a long time for Republicans to come around on things that they said they wanted to do. Immigration is exhibit A of the way that the Republicans have led since this guy has been president. They said what they wanted. They said, you stay out of it and we'll get it done. The Senate gets it done, and then the House says, we won't even take it up, and they wait for 2 years.
All right, we've got 20 seconds left. Just going to have to be the last word, Nolan.
A new Congress coming in, instead of waiting to see what he could get done with these new
leadership. So what happened over this last 6 years shouldn't have mattered, and he should have just waited.
So see what he could have done.
That's absurd.
Never gave them a chance to do anything.
All right, so we'll see if we can find some kind of common ground. Thanks, guys.